Good morning everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn them notifications on. So it's Friday today, I've not recorded anything else this week. It's been a bit of a, just checking on the cows here. Yeah, been a bit of a steadier week this week. We took it a bit steady after the rush of the last couple of weeks, concrete and whatever. But we're in the midst of whatever that storm's called. I can't even remember the name. It's just a windy day, and actually at the moment it's gone really still. It's about 11 o'clock and we were forecast to be having like 60 or 70 mile an hour winds now, but currently it's like 10. So hopefully we're going to miss it. I feel sorry for anyone else who's had the storm earlier in the week and had the rough winds. We had really rough here on Wednesday. Luckily no damage this time. So today I've got a load of gold dust coming today, or any of you watching in the agricultural industry will probably know what I'm on about. Yeah, we got a load of fertiliser coming this afternoon. So that's on the agenda later on to unload, but first of all I got to get all the jobs done here. Cows have got to be fed. So yeah, we'll crack on with that and see what the day brings. So first of all, just heading out into the field now to grab ourselves a couple of silage bales. Now I will explain the reason for the silage bales in a minute. You'll see we got the bale squeeze back on the front of the JCB now, so that's been fixed. Working as good as new and as it should be. So we'll just head out in the field, grab a couple of bales, and I'll explain why we are using a couple of silage bales in a minute. I also say we haven't got too much wind today, which is true, but I think we've got all of the rain that the wind's stirring up, so it's a bloody horrible day today. The yard is a bit of a mess because we've had a lot of rain overnight, quite a bit of localised flooding to us, but we're not doing too bad here at the moment, but that can all change on the weather. I'll just drop this bale in the shed here and get this wrap off, because I am not standing and unwrapping it in the rain. Oh, my knife's broken. That's annoying. So here are silage bales opened up now. The reason we're using these silage bales, so this is some third cut that we did at the end of September last year. We had some nice weather. We had a field of grass that we hadn't got the cows to graze, and we wanted to do something with it. We didn't want it wasted, so we decided to cut it. And the reason we're feeding this now is because this grass was full of clover. It was almost a full field of clover. There hadn't much grass grown, but a lot of clover had grown in it. So what we decided we'd do is, because now I've had a few cows to calve, our silage last year, because we were late cutting it, is a little bit low in protein. So what we've done is, because we've got these bales, which are high in clover, and as we all know, clover is a very high in protein product, we're using these bales as almost like a protein we're adding into the blend for the cows, which basically saves us going out and buying a concentrate. We're using something that we've harvested on the farm. Now, it's not going to have the same effect as if we were putting a 20% protein in the mix, in a silage mix, like a TMR, through the feeder wagon, but it's going to give us a little bit more protein. I think the silage was about 12 or 13%, and these analysed at about 16. So they're just going to boost the protein levels in the silage up a little bit and hopefully get the cows producing a little bit more milk. At the end of the day, if we get a litre per cow extra per day, it pays for itself, and it's surplus product that we need, what we created anyway, so it just makes sense to use it. And also, it saves the silage. Fertiliser prices are where they are. We're only having half as much as we usually do. I'll talk a little bit about that later on. So basically, if we can keep a bay of silage left over from this year for next year, it just means we haven't got to quite push the grass so much this time. If that makes sense, if there's any questions, drop a comment down below. So we'll get these down the barrier and we'll get some silage out. It is absolutely chucking it down now. It's like someone's pouring a bucket over your head. I think we're in for a nice wet day. There's one bale down the feed barrier, and there's our second bale down the feed barrier. So these bales, 1 and 2, will last the cows for today and tomorrow. So they're eating a bale a day. The reason we put 2 down instead of every other day instead of 1 every day is just because cows can stand at this one and eat it, and that one, whereas if we just got 1 bale down here, there's half the room for cows to eat. So yeah, it just means that more cows at the same time can eat that product, and it'll keep for a couple of days after it's been unwrapped anyway, so there's no issues with that. So I'm going to get this bale grab swapped over for silage grab, get the silage out, and then we'll get the cows out. No, I don't think the cows are going to be, you know, they're not going to come running out the shed this morning. If I were them, I'd be staying lay on the sand beds for as long as I could today, because it is absolutely awful weather. Oh, there we go. Right, there's the cows' jobs sorted. Just got to loose them out now. This weather's so weird. It was honestly really dark here a minute ago and chucking it down. Now the sun's out. Global warming, eh? I've just as well, where we keep the bull, we just threw our collecting yard into here. You'll see there. I've just taken a couple of bucketfuls of muck just from by the gateway here. I'd like to clean the whole shed out, but the JCB won't come under that beam, but it will come to as far as there. So we boomed it out, just cleaned this gateway out. It was getting a right pain to open the gate. You can only open it about that far, so the bull hasn't been coming in here for a couple of days, but got that sorted. So we'll put this gate back up, get the cows back out, and have a look what's going on around the other side. There's the cows out behind me now, having a nice graze on the barrier. I'm just washing the milk tank out because the milk was in this morning. They're looking happy. Currently the wind has now picked up, the rain stopped, it's really sunny, but it looks like it's going to rain again. So I should imagine the cows will be back in the cubicles if it rains like it did before. I'll get this tank washed. Just got a few bags now off the lorry. We've just parked a bit further away from the grain shed. I'll just show you all now. Back out of here. So lorry parked there, mainly because we don't want him on this bit of concrete here, because we don't want all the weight there. So he's drawn down this middle piece and then parked over there. It just saves the weight being on that one. So we'll get the rest of this fert off and catch up after. And there we go, there is the fertiliser unloaded and delivered. And probably one of the most expensive deliveries we've had in a while. So this stack of fertiliser here now is 29 tonne. Value, sat behind me right now, is £18,000, which is ridiculous. So we'll just look at it this way. Last year, we had 60 tonnes of fertiliser in this shed that cost £18,000. This year, we got, well, yeah, it's 29, 30 tonne, costing 18,000, so it's doubled in price. Basically, what we're doing this year is we're cutting right back on what fertiliser we use. So you'll see here, it's all 34.5% nitrogen and nothing else. Usually, we have some MOP and some DAP as well, but we've not bothered with any of that this year. We're literally just buying the solid nitrogen. We've also got 4 bags of sulphur there to go on all the fields, just to get that sulphur inclusion. But other than that, no other fertilizers going on the ground. And that's basically just because of how expensive it is. We've sort of worked out the analysis of the soil and everything, and the crops this year will be all right with just the 34.5% nitrogen without the compounds. So that's what we've decided we're going to do. Whether it be the right or wrong thing, only time will tell. But with the prices the way they are, you know, we cannot warrant going out and spending £36,000 on the fertiliser that we had last year. It's just a no-go, and it's a ridiculous price. So that's what we've decided to do. So this is our nitrogen supply for the year. So there's 48 bags here of nitrogen, and that is for all of our grain ground, all of our grazing ground, all of our silage ground for 2 cuts. Yeah, we're stretching it thin. We have got another product of nitrogen, and that's almost more like a liquid nitrogen, but it's not liquid nitrogen as such. That's called MZ28. A few of you might have heard about it. Now, I don't know the full logistics of it, but it's basically a product that's liquid. You spray it on with a normal sprayer, no changing of nozzles, and that will give the crop that we spray it on at the application rate we choose 40 units of nitrogen. So we can cut back on this a little bit, and the reason we're using that is because that was a lot more cheaper than this. The only issue being is that we can't really use that on grazing ground because it's a slow releasing. So if we were to spray it on a grazing field today, we'd actually have to leave it probably 4 weeks before we could graze it with the cows, because that product is still on the leaf. Whereas with this stuff, you can put it on the ground and you can graze it pretty soon after. The other brilliant thing with it as well, with it being slow releasing, is that that plant, when it's trying to grow, will always have that nitrogen there, so it can keep on firing through. So the plan with that is we're going to put the MZ28, which is the liquid fertilizer, we'll say that's going on to first cut silage ground and grain ground. Now the first cut silage, it can go on at any time, so long as it's not too late, because otherwise we're bringing it back in the pit. And with the grain, we're putting it on between the T0 and the T1, I think. That's what I think the plan is. Having spoken to our agronomist, I think that's what we worked out. I might be a little bit wrong with that, but that is the general plan. So yeah, £18,000 sat behind me, and well, in a, let's say 2 months time, most of that will be gone. It'll just be on the ground. It's kind of like throwing money in the air, but it does work on the plants. That does bring us to the end of today's video. So we'll focus in a little bit more on the fertilizer and things like that. Weather update, we'll give you all a lovely weather update. So yeah, the wind's got up now, so it was the calm before the storm earlier. Hopefully no damage. I was speaking to Adam from the hay team at my lunchtime. They've had it real rough down there. I think they've had a bit of damage around the farm down there. Hopefully nothing too serious for them, and obviously any of you watching from them areas, I hope you've all stayed safe in all this weather. I haven't sort of got myself around the open yard near the brick buildings too much today, because one thing we do have a problem with in this sort of wind is slates on the roofs. And you know, if you've got 60 mile an hour wind, that slate, that's coming pretty fast. Anyway, that brings us to the end of today's video. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment down below, head over to my Instagram, case.farms, and we'll see you all in the next one.